What movie did you start watching then said, fuck this, I'm not finishing this? Every pornographic movie I ever started. I was interested, really interested. Then suddenly I lost all interest. About 75% of the movies that I start watching on Netflix, especially the ones that have multiple big-name actors but you've never heard of the movie. Serious red flag. I envy people who have the ability to walk away from bad movies. I just gotta finish even when they're shit. I'm like that with books. I finished 700-plus page books that I started hating on page 97. Do not know why I'm like this. Wish I could just fling it across the room and walk away. But no. Mean Girls 2. We'll just pretend like that movie never existed. It bothered me because the girls weren't even bullies in that one like the first, they just did straight up crimes they could have gotten arrested for. I went to a Mean Girls bar trivia night once. At one point the host asked a question and everyone in the crowd stared at each other, confused that the question referenced characters we didn't even know. The host clarified, this question comes from Mean Girls 2. The entire bar booed incredibly loudly. Did they say, boo, you whore? I was saying, boo, you whore. 50 Shades of Grey. I was out as soon as she walked into Christian's office and tripped over nothing. Cause, you know, she is just so quirky and clumsy. I didn't see the movie but I tried to read the book. Pro tip, don't. It's a shame that pulp is what sorta mainstreamed BDSM in our generation. I would have hoped something better would have had the honor. The Emoji Movie. It was almost a parody of every CGI kids movie. My son is autistic and gets super fixated on random things for periods of time. Ripping paper, compass directions, weather, power lines, etc. He watched the Emoji Movie on Netflix one day and became obsessed with drawing emojis. I had to watch this pile of garbage movie every day for like 3 months. Thank goodness he moved on eventually. Lol. Oh god, yeah, that was torture. I took my daughter to see it at the Flicks. I wish I could sleep during film, monsieur. I wanted to sellotape my eyelids closed. I was hoping for a feel-good goofy movie and saw Downsizing while browsing Hulu. After reading the description, I assumed it'd be something like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids and went for it. It was nothing like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. In fact, it's 2 bad movies combined in a single script. One good concept, spit-roasted by sweaty Hollywood executives who didn't get it with starving screenwriters collecting the ball sweat. Years back, I used to love the no-effort parody movies like Epic Movie, Scary Movie, Superhero Movie, Meet the Spartans, etc. Until I watched Scary Movie 5. When 5 came out, I couldn't see it immediately at the time, so I forgot about it and rented it years later. When watching it, I realized none of the jokes were funny because they all relied on referencing and parodying the horror movies of that time, which were no longer relevant. It was a slog and I turned it off and returned it halfway through. This is the first time I've heard someone say they enjoyed Epic Movie. I was still a child when that one came out, and honestly, I thought it was goddamn hilarious. Fucking Epic Movie put me in stitches. Today, you'd probably have to pay me to watch it. Things were funnier as a kid. Edit. Fuck all of you for making my highest rated comment about Epic Movie. Out of all of these, I still maintain that Scary Movie 3 is funny, but that is largely down to Leslie Nielsen. Last year's Cats. I lasted 30 minutes and then I immediately left the theater. Human faces on roaches creeped me the hell out, as did whatever else I saw in that time frame. I saw Cats in a packed theater and we all were laughing and making fun of the film, monsieur. It was one of the best movie-going experiences I've had. I had that experience years ago with Scream 3. Absolutely amazing. Every time a character walked into a telegraph death trap, there's near silence punctuated by occasional snickering. Then they die and the whole cinema exploded with peals of laughter. Great times. The Robin Hood movie from a year or so back. The bad guys have machine gun crossbows. It's fucking bizarre. Edit. So this comment got a bit more attention than I was expecting. For anyone that hasn't seen it and is curious, the first scene has Robin Hood in the Crusades, where the Crusaders wear modern gear and flak jackets, and they hut around a bummed out city, clearing houses with longbows half drawn at the shoulder like they're spec ops dudes, but they get pinned down by an automatic ballista that's basically a machine gun nest, but it's okay because they fire a flare arrow over it, which calls in an airstrike from some nearby trebuchets. I didn't hate this as much as some of the people replying, but the whole thing was so goofy and stupid that I couldn't be bothered finishing it. Zombiesaurus. I love B-movies that are amusingly bad. Ghost Shark is a particular favorite, but Zombiesaurus, bought for £2 from my local Asda, was so bad I couldn't finish it. The Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly movie, Holmes and Watson. In the screening I went to. Thanks, Dad. I watched a whole group of 14-year-old boys hightail it out of there in the first 20 minutes. When the least discerning movie audience of all time up and leave so soon, you know it'll be amazingly bad. I went to watch that in the cinema while on a date. Never went on a second date with that guy. He was nice enough, but when he said he thought it was one of the best movies he'd ever seen, I just knew we would never be compatible. Dragon Ball Evolution, a Serbian film. A movie so bad, Toriyama, the creator of Dragon Ball, said, "This piece of absolute garbage ain't gonna be the last Dragon Ball movie," and then made 2 movies and an anime. And then one of Dragon Ball Evolution's writers apologized for writing the movie. Incredible. It is awesome how bad Dragon Ball Evolution was, that nobody says anything about Serbian film as long as it is next to it. You know what to expect from a Serbian film, monsieur. You don't expect your childhood memories to curb stomped hard. You think, it can't be that bad. Quote. It is a Serbian film. You hear one detail about it and know about immediately. Holy shit, that movie changed my whole perspective on life with how awful it was. I watched half of it from behind a pillow, wincing at what was happening to the characters. I couldn't finish it. I was shaking afterwards and almost couldn't sleep because of how horrific it was. I've never seen a Serbian film, but I've heard that it was pretty bad as well. I brought a girl over to my place after a first date one night. I mentioned I'm a big horror movie fan, and she said she was too. She mentioned we should watch a Serbian film since I said I hadn't seen or heard of it. So I decided to find it and put it on, while we curled up on the couch together. Boy, things sure got awkward at that point. I ended up not wanting to finish it. She ended up wanting to go home. A Serbian film, monsieur, not a first date movie. Going overboard. Adam Sandler's first movie. It's amazing how it did end his career before it started. Hearts and Armor. Corrected. I have absolutely no excuse other than I paid $1 in the Blockbuster bin for it and needed to win the worst movie contest with a bunch of friends on Fantasy Movie Friday. I won. I still win with it. I still haven't watched all of it. Note to anyone who attempts to watch it: whenever the blonde heaves her bosoms, tosses her hair, and yells, "Let me fight him," I'll fight him. Take a drink and you'll be dead before the end of the film. So you'll be out of your misery anyway. FYI, you don't know bad cinema until the bad guys have the evil henchman in a sword and sorcery flick is. Wear a spangly rooster costume, fight chicken style alongside the guy in a sequin top hat, surrounded by knives and bow tie on top of an ape suit. Yup, folks, it's that bad. And I own it on VHS. Greater than Hearts and Armor. Now I quite like this one, but there's no getting around the fact that it's a very strange piece of film, monsieur. It's like somebody watched Excalibur and said, "We need to do this but with more of the weird, mystical shit." Cats. Just don't waste your time. It's time you'll never get back. And you can be wasting your time on something more wasteful than watching that movie. We watched Why Is Cats? the other night on YouTube. And if you're looking for a deep dive on how that hot mess got made, it's well worth your time. Lindsay Ellis is fucking fantastic. To paraphrase Cats is what people who hate musical theater point to when they are asked why they hate musical theater. Hits the nail on the head. Seconded. I saw it under the impression that it would be so bad it's good. Like The Room. It wasn't. It's not insultingly bad, either. It's that kind of vacuous, mediocre bad that won't leave you feeling much of anything afterwards. Besides, I paid for this? Quote, the only entertainment I got out of it was trying to count the CGI glitches. And viewers can't even do that anymore. I'm not saying Cats was bad, but if I'm trying to break up with someone, I'd watch Cats so they break up with me. The Mummy 3. I loved the Mummy series and Brendan Fraser is awesome, but my god, that was a hot pile of shit in the only movie I ever walked out of in a theater. I noped out as soon as I saw that they replaced Evie like it was no big thing. She had been my favorite character. Brendan Fraser and Weiss' chemistry is what made that movie. Sometimes two actors just click on screen, and you can't recapture that with anyone else. This is the sort of public service announcement we need when we're quarantined. Avatar: The Last Airbender. What you didn't enjoy watching Aang and his friends Katara and Sokka acting super serious and depressed? Even if you ignore that it butchered the source material, it's an objectively terrible movie. Because it's not a movie about the whole series. It's a movie based on the play they are watching in the Fire Nation. Even that had better actors. Avatar State! Exclamation mark! Exclamation mark! Exclamation mark! YIPP! YIPP! I don't see like you do. I release a sonic wave from my mouth. Asterisk asterisk. There. Got a pretty good look at you. My partner and I have a holiday house in rural Hungary. It's a quiet village, few streetlights, next to no traffic. 1 January. It's my turn to fly out there for the weekend to check it's okay. I arrive and there's a foot of snow, but the house is all fine. Good. I put on the fire and settle in for the night. There's nothing much on the satellite TV and I'm not in the mood to listen to music. So I riffle through the DVDs to see what I might watch. I find 28 days later. It turns out that watching a zombie film in front of a flickering fire in a dark village on your own with nothing stirring outside in the depths of winter is not that brilliant an idea. I lasted 30 minutes. I thoroughly love this movie, but in your scenario, I possibly would have needed to stop too. Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief. Huge fan of the books but couldn't make it half an hour into the movie. Literally walked out of the theater. After watching it, I just consoled myself watching the emails Rick Riordan sent to the movie's director, in which he politely rips the script a new one and proclaims, among other things, this script not only doesn't work as an adaptation, but as a movie in its own right, and predicts fans will leave the theater in droves. What a guy. Met him at my local Books & Co. for a book signing when the new edition of the 5th installment came out. Thanked him for his time and said, sorry they butchered your vision. He nodded and said, me too. Absolute legend. The most recent Underworld movie. It was a lot more soap opera and general incoherence than anything beyond saving. I feel the same way about the Underworld movies as I do the Resident Evil series. I know by and large they're pretty garbage films, but I will watch any film in either series and unquestionably enjoy the shit out it. I'm kinda person who can totally appreciate a form over function film, monsieur. My favorite bit of trivia about Underworld is that Ray's, the huge black guy with the most gravely voice imaginable, actually has a degree in microbiology and wrote the screenplay for Underworld. He based it on his real-life experiences of interracial dating and viral mutagens. I have no problem admitting why I love the Underworld series. Werewolves, vampires, and most importantly Kate Beckinsale in leather. 50 Shades of Grey. OMG yay. And there was such a hype about it. It was one of the worst things I have ever seen. like a platform for bad and awkward acting. Thank you so much for watching and have a good day.